Well, we got his response. Brian Flores responded to the comments from Tua Tagovailoa, which he basically said that Brian Flores walked into the office and said he sucked every single day, said he didn't earn this position, said he wasn't the right quarterback, yada, 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 yada. And Brian Flores responded the next day, and he took it like a man. He didn't refuse any questions. He didn't say no comment. He didn't deny it, which probably shows that these claims by Tua Tagovailoa are true. And it also confirms my theory that, the person making these comments is Tua, not some random Yahtzee that is a crazy former NFL player gone AWOL and is looking for some attention. Scottie Pippen once criticized Michael Jordan a few years ago. And if you look into the reason why he criticized him, is he was coming out with like a beer or a wine or something. And it's like everyone wants to react to Scottie Pippen's comments being critical of Michael Jordan. Well, the reason why he did it was for publicity. Gets his name out there right when he was releasing a product. So did he actually believe that take? Who really knows? Probably not. Jordan led him to 6 titles. Pippen certainly helped. But there's a reason for it. That's not this situation. Tua really had no reason to publish these comments other than the fact that they were true. And that maybe he wanted it out there. But here's Brian Flores' response to Tua. He says, I'm genuinely happy for the success that Tua has had, and I really wish him nothing but the best. Player relationships are very important to me. So that's what he said first. And then what he said second is, I'm always going to correct mistakes. I'm always going to have a high standard. Reflecting on the relationship, there's things that I could do better, and I've grown in that. So his response is telling me that he is owning up to his mistakes that he made, that the mistakes he made were true. But what is also happening here is that Brian Flores is interviewing for his next head coaching job right now or yesterday. Brian Flores with the Minnesota Vikings was interviewing for his next chance to be a head coach of the National Football League. Because make no mistake about it, if Brian Flores leads the Minnesota Vikings defense to a top 10 defense in the NFL this year, there is a very good chance that he will be an NFL head coach the following season. Some people thought that he would have been a head coach right now, but I believe that he turned down the job from the Arizona Cardinals and they went a different direction. Or maybe it was another team, but I think it was the Arizona Cardinals. He interviewed with them. They wanted him back for another interview, and he said no. He looked at the infrastructure from the Arizona Cardinals and didn't want a part of that. He wanted to go to a more solid infrastructure because he had the history with the Miami Dolphins, and at that time it wasn't a great roster. So he probably wants to go to a place that has more of a solid roster. But I would be careful when you get picky when picking your NFL job, because Byron Leftwich was the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when Tom Brady was there. And I think it's the Jacksonville Jaguars were very interested in him being their head coach. And it makes sense because he was a former quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars. It only makes sense for him to come back and be their head coach too. And he declined their interview or didn't accept their head coaching job. And then the following season, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers weren't nearly as good. He got fired as the offensive coordinator. And who knows what he's doing now? He's probably got some job in the NFL, but the head coaching interviews aren't coming around anymore. So if you are Brian Flores, you need to be very careful on which job that you take and which job that you say, yeah, I'm not interested. Because if he has a bad season with the Minnesota Vikings, all of those coaching opportunities that he once had will go flying right out the window, because NFL coaching jobs are all about the hot commodity. Just like the Lions offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson. He was the hot commodity last year because he took the Lions offense to a new level. But if the Lions offense stinks this year, well, he's not going to be a head coach the following year. It's just how it works. Same thing with Kevin O'Connell. He's the offensive coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams. The Rams were successful. Even though Sean McVay was the one calling the plays, he was from the Sean McVay tree. Kevin O'Connell was a hot commodity. The Minnesota Vikings snagged him. That's what NFL jobs are all about. So Brian Flores needs to be careful, because last year, what he did with the Minnesota Vikings defense, how he carried them to a successful season for the most part, he became a hot commodity. And we'll see what happens this year with the Minnesota Vikings defense. It should be better. The talent's better, basically everywhere. They're deeper, so it should be better, but who knows? But Flores owned it, didn't deny it, talked about how he should grow from it, and he's interviewing for a head coaching job right now. That's what the season is all about for Minnesota Vikings defensive coordinator Brian Flores.